Being Afro-Cuban, and Afro-Cuban for the region of Matanza is very, very, very linked. My ancestors came to Cuba for and only to work in the sugarcane fields. So it's a very profound link in the origin of why they came to that region and what kind of particular role they perform in the construction of, the identity and what this old region is. And African tradition, as I knew it, still very vivid as today in the region of Matanzas. The plaster, is used to form, and then we need to liquefy the wax to make the space to put the glass. A glass, the sugar is called, there are some moments sugar is called crystal sugar. Yes. Where crystal means in Spanish glass. What I did was inspired by these different qualities and material presence of the different finishing for sugar. For instance, in Cuba we have something that is called sugar turbinada. A turbinada have a color. White sugar is a pristine white, like that, And the process is that the sugar is spinning in such a fast motion that it becomes refined, very, very, very refined. And the more refined, the whiter. And now, I was always putting this in a kind of almost a metaphorical tautology about talking about Cuba as a nation and talking about this different level of how the sugar, the darker sugar, the less refined that they will perceive it, the less, value of it. So I choose only 3 colors, 4 colors for mine. I use the white, very fine sugar. This one that is almost in between, this would be like we call it a mulata, in Cuba would be white, black, mulatto. And this is actually, this is real glass, but this is sugar. And this is actually coming from Colombia. But it's a kind of sugar that is market, that is people love this, they eat that, they use it for cooking, and then I went to the molasses, which is the chard, and it's using for many different things, but to feed animals as well. It would have almost this color, and I wanted the sugar fields, which is what I want to recreate with the distribution of the piece, don't have this color because the sugar, is green. Some of them are reddish. Some of them are, but it's a green seed. A sugar field is a very green. But I was thinking I want to stay as far as possible for green, because my reference was more about the processual, So that's what I choose, or this very particular palette that is almost of the final product, and it has 2 skin tone implications. That is, in Cuba, white, the mulatto, which is the mestizo, and black. When I start putting this in this triangulation, this idea of a Cuban, Africa, the spears come from Africa. Those spears have been used to do something. The stool, where somebody sits in the stool before and after. So this kind of implication, and in between is this metaphorical reference to a construction of sugar. Yes. Sugar construct power. Yes. And sugar construct power that allowed people to sit and rest, both sides, this triangulation. Sun shift sit in his stool of power, yes, in a complicity with that tray. And Sun King sit in his throne in power, in a complicity in that tray. And in between was this accumulation of sorrow, pain, all of the above. I have the more amazing conversation with a Brazilian woman. She said to me, but sugar, is so dark and so, she says something about difficult, and she described, and I say, why? I say, because it's so much bitterness in it. She say, in her area, people get blind. And she said the leaf of the sugar is like blades. And I have been, always the metaphor for the spears was to, the blades. And I say, this is just, I was like, what could I do with that? In the middle of this piece, I sense that is an important piece in my production. I have been elated, exhilarated, butterflies in my stomach. The first moment that I start assembling the component of this piece together, I was like, oh my gosh. This kind of a very real feeling of you touching something that you don't know yet, or the implication, but it's important. And I say it's just important to me. I don't want to pretend that transcend. But in my doing, in my reflections of these issues for such a long time, I was thinking, this is something else. I am telling something here that really bring a moment of almost epiphany of ideas and concepts that I have been trying to gather. And that's very important for me. That's very, very, very important for me in the state that I am of my own making and my own critique of my process, and critique of my thinking, and critique of what it's all about.